The air was thick with an eerie silence as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white under the strain. The road stretched out before me, a desolate ribbon of asphalt cutting through the darkness. The only illumination came from the weak beams of my car's headlights, desperately trying to pierce the inky blackness that surrounded me. I was alone, driving through a remote stretch of countryside on a moonless night. The trees loomed on either side of the road, their branches casting twisted shadows that seemed to dance with malevolent intent. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying with it a sense of foreboding that clung to the air like a shroud. I had been on the road for hours, the monotony of the journey only broken by the occasional flicker of a road sign passing by. The GPS on my dashboard assured me that I was on the right path, but doubt gnawed at the edges of my mind. The landscape seemed to shift and morph, the road ahead never quite straight, always winding and turning in unexpected ways. As I drove deeper into the night, a feeling of unease settled over me like a heavy fog. I couldn't shake the sensation that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every move. Glancing into the rearview mirror, I half expected to see a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me, but the darkness prevailed, revealing nothing but an empty road. The fuel gauge on my dashboard dipped dangerously close to empty, and panic began to claw at the edges of my mind. There was no sign of civilization, no gas stations or rest stops in sight. The only company I had was the oppressive darkness and the relentless hum of the engine. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the side of the road, shrouded in shadows. My foot instinctively slammed on the brakes, and the car screeched to a halt. I peered through the windshield, heart pounding, trying to make sense of the silhouette that stood in the darkness. A woman, her long disheveled hair obscuring her face, emerged from the shadows. She wore a tattered, blood-stained dress that clung to her emaciated frame. Panic gripped me as I fumbled to roll down the window, my instincts torn between compassion and self-preservation. "Please, help me," she whispered, her voice a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. "I need a ride." The rational part of my mind screamed at me to drive away, to leave this spectral hitchhiker behind. But an inexplicable force drew me to her, an otherworldly compulsion that overrode my better judgment. I unlocked the passenger door, and she slid into the seat beside me without a word. As we continued down the road, the air inside the car grew colder, and the woman's presence seemed to cast a chilling aura. I stole glances at her from the corner of my eye, trying to discern the features hidden beneath the veil of her hair. But every time I looked, her face remained elusive, as if obscured by a supernatural force. The road stretched on, seemingly endless, and a sense of dread settled over me like a shroud. I tried to engage the woman in conversation, to distract myself from the mounting unease, but she responded only in cryptic whispers that sent shivers down my spine. I glanced at the GPS, hoping for a sign of civilization, but the screen displayed nothing but a pulsating dot on an empty expanse. My surroundings seemed to warp and twist, the trees closing in on the road like sinister sentinels. I realized with a sinking feeling that I'd lost all sense of direction. The road ahead no longer followed the path dictated by the GPS. Panic set in as I realized I was lost, trapped in a nightmarish labyrinth with the enigmatic woman at my side. The car's headlights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe and contort. The woman beside me remained eerily silent, her presence a spectral specter that filled the car with an oppressive darkness. I drove on, each passing moment plunging me deeper into the abyss. The road twisted and turned, a chaotic maze that defied all logic. Shadows danced on the periphery of my vision, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. The woman beside me seemed to fade in and out of existence, her form shifting like smoke in the darkness. A sudden realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. I was not alone. Faces appeared in the shadows, grotesque and contorted, their eyes gleaming with an unnatural light. Whispers echoed through the car, a cacophony of voices that seemed to speak in a language I couldn't comprehend. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding to a stop on the deserted road. The faces in the shadows leered at me, their twisted expressions filled with malevolence. The woman beside me turned to face me, her hair parting to reveal hollow eyes that seemed to peer into the depths of my soul. "Welcome to the endless night," she whispered, her voice a haunting refrain that echoed through the darkness. In that moment, the world around me unraveled, reality itself warping and distorting. The car became a cocoon of terror, the walls closing in as the shadows enveloped me. The faces in the darkness drew closer, their whispers becoming a maddening chorus that drowned out all reason. And then, with a jolt, the car lurched forward, hurtling into the abyss. The road beneath me dissolved into a swirling void, and I felt myself being pulled into the inky blackness. The woman's laughter echoed in my ears as everything descended into a nightmarish oblivion. I awoke with a start, the sound of my own terrified scream ringing in my ears. I was alone in my car, parked on the side of a deserted road. The first light of dawn was breaking on the horizon, dispelling the darkness that had gripped the night. My heart raced as I surveyed my surroundings, the memories of the night's horrors still fresh in my mind. The GPS on my dashboard displayed a familiar map, the road stretching out ahead in a straight line. I hesitated, unsure if what I had experienced was a nightmare or a twisted reality. Shaken to the core, I started the engine and drove away, leaving the nightmarish road behind me. As the sun rose, casting its warm light on the world, I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows lingered, waiting for the next unsuspecting traveler to venture into the endless night.